Hi folks, Greeno here. I am out and about again today. Where am I? Well, I'm actually in Southampton and I've come down here. It's a gloriously sunny but fairly parky day today, it has to be said. I've come down to get some barbecue food. I've not really featured any barbecue food on the channel yet. I think the closest I got was some toppings on Smoky Mo's Spud Shack jacket potatoes. That was really good. Anyway, behind me here, you can see, is a place called the Red Dog Saloon. Now this is one of 7 restaurants with the name Red Dog Saloon in the country. There are 4 in London, 1 here in Southampton, 1 in Liverpool I think, and 1 in Nottingham. Now they focus on barbecue food, brisket, ribs, all that sort of good stuff, and also burgers. There's some Nashville hot chicken, that kind of stuff, but it's really the barbecue food I'm here for today. So I'm going to get inside and find out what it's all about. It's called the Red Dog Saloon, but is it going to get a red light or a green light? Let's go find out. Right, folks, I've come in and been seated. Really nice setup to this restaurant. It's kind of done to look like what I imagine a kind of sort of Texan kind of steakhouse barbecue joint would look like. Lots of exposed wood everywhere, animal skulls on the wall, that kind of thing, bottles of bourbon kicking around. Yeah, I like it. Now when I did walk in, the music was quite loud. I was a bit concerned whether I'd be able to film here at all, but I spoke to the waitress and she was very, very helpful and turned the music down for me. It does help that I've come here very early on, first person through the door, so there's no one else to upset by asking the music to be turned down. As I sat down, I've been brought over a glass of tap water. Look at that, plenty of ice, bit of lemon. I'm not sure I need that much ice today. It is freezing outside, but nice and refreshing. Let's get my order in, shall we? Yeah, for a drink, can I take one of the shakes, please?
Yeah, of course.
I'd like the triple chocolate shake, please, if that's possible. Yeah. If I can take the burnt end nuggets as a starter, please.
Okay.
And then I'll take the Texas Trinity.
Texas Trinity. Would you like any size with your Texas Trinity? It comes with Texas toast, slaw, and dill pickles.
Do you think I need anything else, really?
Not sure. Not really. What I can do for you is whenever the Texas Trinity gets here, if you feel like you need any fries or anything, you just give me a shout and I'll get it straight away.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Great. Appreciate your help.
It's alright.
Cheers. So you'll have seen there, folks. Got my order in. The burnt end nuggets as a starter. That's with brisket, peach bourbon barbecue, and some ranch to dip in. £12.50. A bit strong for a starter, isn't it? But we'll see how that is. The Texas Trinity that I ordered is actually a plate meal. That comes with brisket, St. Louis cut pork ribs, hot links, and that's with original barbecue sauce. So that should be sort of sweet and sticky, I guess. That is served with Texas toast with some slaw and some dill pickles. And for a drink, I've gone with that triple chocolate shake. Sounds pretty good to me. Right, folks, so my starter and my shake have arrived. This is the burnt ends, the brisket burnt ends. So, get some cutlery here and a napkin because it could be sticky. Now, we've got 6 pieces, I think, of the meat on the plate there, and we've got the ranch dressing with a little bit of what looks like paprika or maybe some kind of barbecue seasoning or whatever put into that. Now this, if I remember rightly, has the peach bourbon barbecue sauce, so that should be interesting. What I will say, like I said when I was ordering or explaining the order, this is £12.50 for this. And we've basically got 6 little nuggets of meat and a pool of sauce, nothing else with it, no garnish or anything like that. So yeah, it might be a little bit strong, but we'll see. It's all about the quality, I suppose, at the end of the day. So try and cut this open, see how soft it is. Just pulls apart really, really easily. And the meat there has got a really nice aroma. Nice sort of deep, fatty beef kind of smell to it. Let's give it a try. Got a little bit crisp to the outside. There's an amount of spice to that barbecue, like a sort of chilli kind of heat. Not overpowering because it's still a little bit sweet with the peach in there. The fat in the meat is soft, really soft, not chewy at all. Like I say, it's a little contrast then because of course you do have the crisp to the outside of it. Let's try it with some of this ranch dressing too. There's quite a lot of it on the plate, so you can be fairly generous, I think. I'm not sure how much that adds to it really. I mean, if anything, the cooling element of it does detract a little bit from the barbecue flavour, perhaps. Let's try that again. Yeah, to my mind, the ranch just kind of overtakes everything. You've got that kind of little sour note you get from it. It's almost like sort of sour cream kind of flavouring, isn't it? I think it's much better by itself. Yeah, let's give it a go like that again. Yeah, that works better. You get the intensity of the beef flavour, and you get the spice of the barbecue, and it's not compromised by the sort of creaminess, the sourness of that ranch dressing. Much better without. Also got my triple chocolate shake here. I'm not quite sure what makes it triple chocolate. Maybe they've used white chocolate, milk chocolate and dark chocolate in it. Who knows? Let's give it a try though. It's a nice thick shake. Not sure if the straws do just about get to the bottom of the glass. Gonna get a bit tricky otherwise. It's not so thick you can't drink it. It's a really good consistency of shake, to be fair. Really nice. Well, I would say though, a little bit lacking in chocolate for me. Like a little bit more flavour of that. Needs a little bit more oomph to it, in my opinion. Right, folks, so my main plate has arrived. It's more like a little platter really, isn't it? A little silver platter here. So on here we have the pork rib here, which seems to have a really nice kind of bark to the outside of it. It looks really quite appealing. Around here we have 2 or 3 slices, I think it's 2 slices actually, of brisket. Again, similar to that sort of burnt ends. Looks nice and kind of, the fat seems to be quite nicely rendered down anyway. Got the link sausage here. It's nicely coloured on the outside. A piece of the Texas toast, some pickles, some slaw, and the barbecue sauce here. So everything going on. Now, as you know, I didn't order any additional sides with this. I could have had some fries for an extra £5.50, I think. This, if I remember rightly, just as a platter on its own, was £24.50. Again, strong, I think. Very strong. Punchy, as I might say. So where am I going to start with this? I mean, it's almost, do I go cutlery or not? Because we got that big rib. But I think we'll come around and we'll do the brisket first. Because obviously we had some of the beef for the starter plate. So we'll go with that first, keep that theme going a little bit. What do we have here? Yeah, we've got 2 slices of brisket. They look reasonably thin at one end, very thin the other end here. Let's get it cut. And we'll try it as is, and then we'll try it with the barbecue sauce. So, the fat's proving a little stringy as I'm cutting it there. Let's see how the flavour is though. If I'm being brutally honest, possibly a little bland. Expected a bit more flavour on the coating there. Let's try it with the barbecue sauce. That certainly adds more to it. Like I say, the meat by itself, it's cooked nicely enough. Well, I will say, the bit where there's less fat does feel a little dry, just a touch. The barbecue sauce is elevating it though, certainly, into something a bit more agreeable. Let's move on to this sausage. So, I can pick it up so we can have a little look here. Just one sausage. Yeah, it's a bit like Grange Hill, isn't it, coming into a shot like that on the fork. Let's cut this open and see what we're dealing with here. So I'm guessing this should be a smoked pork sausage. Nice and moist inside. A good snap to the outside of that skin. A little bit of smoky flavour to it. Moist inside, quite finely ground. So there's not a lot of kind of texture to it. It's kind of a bit one note maybe. Let's get that in the barbecue sauce too. Again, the barbecue sauce is what's lifting that into something a little better. Let's put it that way. You know, the problem I'm finding here is that the barbecue sauce is the tastiest thing, and it's masking everything else. But it feels like there's not that much to mask. Let's go back to this brisket again. We've got like the end part here, so you can see there's quite a lot of bark on there. That sort of burnt ring around the outside of the meat. Let's just go with a tiny bit of sauce on there. And again, for me, even a touch of that sauce is overtaking the flavour of the brisket and with the sausage, because they're not that highly flavoured themselves. Okay. Let's move these little sidey bits out of the way. We have the rib here. Now this is a fairly substantial rib, and like I said before, you can see the bark on there, can't you? Really dark in contrast to the regular pork meat in there. Now, how am I going to go with this? Am I going to be civilised and try and get a bit off with a knife and fork? So, as you can feel as I'm cutting through it, as ribs are reasonably fatty, and you can feel that. Nice and soft meat. The bark, let's see if I can just get some of that bark by itself. That's where the flavour is on that rib. The pork itself, again, nothing spectacular to write home about. Like I say, there's nothing wrong with the cookery of it in terms of the softness of the meat. It's coming away from the bone very nicely. Is this sauce going to save the day again? It is. It is. I've got to tell you, if it wasn't for that sauce, this would be fairly bland. Which, when you come into a barbecue joint and you're paying best part £25 for a plate of meat with minimal sides, it isn't ideal, is it? It isn't ideal. I say the bit here with the bark on, got a little sort of fatty bit here. This where it's been kissed by the smoke and the barbecue spices and whatever, presumably a dry rub goes on the ribs before they're cooked. That has good flavour. But it's not permeated into the rest of the meat. And as we can see here now, as I'm starting to get into here, it's not pulling away from the bone quite as easily as I'd like it to. There's a little bit of the connective tissue still here, which normally, when you're cooking ribs, you'd kind of rip that off. Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame, but we're getting down and dirty now, we're getting the fingers involved. Again, when you dip into that barbecue sauce, that's what brings it together into something good. So let's try these little sides as well. Move the sauce a minute. So we've got just a piece of toast here. Texas toast. It's just toast. You've got some slaw. So this should have a little bit of again, creaminess, a little bit of sharpness, hopefully. Very, very bog standard slaw. It's very much like kind of like a supermarket own brand slaw. The pickle. Let's give that a try. They're pretty good. A bit chunkier than your regular pickle would be. Sweet, vinegary. That actually is probably one of the best things on the plate, if I'm brutally honest. And let's try a little bit of this toast. We'll get it with some of the sausage here. In fact, no, we'll just try it by itself. Tastes a bit like a brioche loaf. It's got a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of butteriness. I'm not quite sure what purpose it serves though, if I'm honest. It doesn't, you know, you've got nothing here that's going to sit on top of it as part of a meal. It just seems like I thought, how can we put something that's a carb on the plate and still charge you for fries separately? That's how it feels to me. I was just chatting with my server, Portuguese guy, really nice fella, had a nice chat about the football. He says they have a little thing going on at lunchtimes where you come in, you roll a dice, and if you roll a 6, everything for the table is free. One person per table gets the chance to do it. I think it's probably only limited times. Maybe it's a January thing, because obviously we're in that kind of post-Christmas lull right now. But just a nice little gimmick, rather than just giving things away. A lot of places will be doing like 50% off main meals or 20% off the total food bill, that sort of thing, just to try and encourage people to come in January. But here, you've got the chance to win your whole meal for free. A 1 in 6 chance. And who knows, maybe the dice is loaded. But yeah, quite a nice little touch, that. Okay, we have the dice here. Will I get to have my lunch for free or not? You just got to drop it on the floor. If it lands on a 6, lunch is free. Here we go. It's like being in Vegas. Oh no, couldn't be further away. Look at that. Number 1. I guess I'm going to have to pay. Right then, folks. Red Dog Saloon here in Southampton. What do we think? Got to be honest, bit of a mixed bag really, isn't it? I think the restaurant itself, I like the way it's set up. And obviously I've come here on a midweek lunchtime, very early in the day, and there's not many people about. We're in that kind of post-Christmas lull. But I reckon on a sort of Friday or Saturday evening, with a load more people in here enjoying themselves, there'll be a good atmosphere. The restaurant's kind of set up that way. It looks good. The service, absolutely fabulous. Really, really good. Now, I'd be disappointed if they didn't have good service, because for most of the time I was in there, I was the only customer. But it still is important, isn't it, that you look after a customer, even when they're the only one in the restaurant. So, let's have a little look at this bill. So we got the chocolate shake was £6.75. Now for me, consistency of the shake was great and a good portion, just not enough chocolate flavour for something that's claiming to be triple chocolate. You expect a bit more intensity there, don't you? The burnt end nuggets, £12.50. I mean, the actual meat itself was very, very tasty, especially with that sort of peach bourbon barbecue on the outside. The ranch just washed all of that away though. Not a very well designed plate of food, that, I don't think. Bit of a disappointment as a whole thing. And for £12.50 for just those 6 little bits of meat, I think that's expensive. I really do think that's expensive. And then we go on to the Texas Trinity, which was that main platter plate I had. Now, we had 1 rib on there, a big substantial rib, I'll grant you, but just 1. 2 slices of brisket, which were okay portion-wise, I guess, and 1 sausage. A little bit of coleslaw, which I think was a very, very basic coleslaw. The pickles were good though. Texas toast thing, what's the point? Who knows? Don't understand that at all. But no additional sides with that beyond that tiny little bit of garnish. 2 slices of meat, 1 sausage and a rib, £24.50. Again, very, very punchy, I think. And that gave me a total of £43.75. Now what I will say in here, the sauces with the stars, the peach bourbon on those little brisket nuggets was delicious. The original barbecue, I expected that to kind of be a sort of sweeter, thicker sauce. It wasn't. It was more of a sort of Kansas kind of barbecue kind of thing. Vinegary, a little bit of cayenne spice or something to it. That was really, really tasty. And that was what saved that main platter from being a very kind of dull, bland affair You expect more from barbecue, don't you? You expect that smoke to permeate into the meat, to give it a really good all-round flavour. And it just didn't. It didn't. So, service charge 10%. Absolutely no issue with that at all. The service, as I already mentioned, was great. So that was £4.38 for the service. I'd have left at least that as a tip anyway. Total price, £48.13. Just for me, having a lunch. Now, that's without ordering any sides or anything really. Just a milkshake, starter, and a plate of meat. For best part of 50 quid. That's too much money. That is too much money. Particularly as it isn't kind of up there quality wise. So, a score. Tricky one, because there were some really good things and some really not so good things. I think if I was to break it down, the service is a good sort of 4.5 out of 5. The food, probably only a sort of 2, and the price, it's just too much money. For, you know, value for money, it's a 1 out of 5, definitely 1 out of 5. Overall score. I mean, I think it's going to have to be like a 2.5 out of 5. Would I recommend you coming here? Does it get Greeno's green light? No, doesn't get a green light. It's too much money for what it is. It really is. Would I recommend coming here? I mean, no, I don't think I can. I don't think I can recommend it. I say, if you were to take the 2 servers from here and put them into a different restaurant, perfect. But, yeah, it's just not worth the money. Feels like a bit of a rip-off, to be honest.